love the fact that light affects the work. So even though I'm very strict with my work and I sometimes think, am I too controlling with it? I love the fact that the light can do anything to it. And I'll deliberately hang things in our house where the skylight's coming down. You've got this full-on rectangle going across a black square, and it's like, no, I'm happy. That's it. That's made it, because and it's just going to move and it's going to disappear. And that's the magic. We had a beautiful paddock across the road from us when I was young, and it had this yabby pond. And I was over there one day by myself, and it was probably about maybe 4 o'clock, just that magical time with the lights all turning and changing. And there was a couple of natural springs around the pond, obviously, that fed it. And I sort of pulled back this bush, and the spring was bubbling up, this ray of light. I think I must have been maybe 7. And I remember my breath being taken away. It's like, oh my God, like it was so beautiful. And what I loved about that so much is that beauty just existed purely for itself. Growing up on the beach, I'd just go and watch the sunset each night. It was beautiful, and listen to the seagulls just passing over you, and the wings, and the colours of the cliffs, and it's constantly changing. I imagine most people that grow up in a beautiful area, they must take that with them for the rest of their life. For me now, it's living in the inner city. It's you find beauty wherever you can. So maybe it's just a shadow, or it's a reflection of the glass or something. When I have an exhibition on, I daydream about that show at 2 o'clock in the morning, when all the lights are off, and it's just sitting there in that space, just having its own life. Maybe there's moonlight coming in, maybe there's not. That to me is the magic. And that reflects of why I like the work to be so quiet, because I wouldn't want these riot paintings going on in the middle of the night. With this really gentle, quiet artwork just sitting there in, just very low lighting, all by itself, no one looking at it, just existing. I think it's kind of odd that nature does inform my work so much, because you think of nature and it's all organic and it's all loosey-goosey and it's changing all the time. There's so many colours. And then you look at my work and it's structured and there's symmetry and there's one colour. But I think it's just that stillness of beauty, and people can see that in different ways, and obviously I do. I love nothing more than going out on a wild, windy day and everything's going crazy outside, and I think that's beautiful. But then my idea of creating something beautiful is a stillness, a very, very much a stillness, and that reflects to what I think a lot of reductive artists think as well. Of we're so bombarded with advertising and imagery all the time now, and things blaring at us, and to wipe all that out, like rectangles, just a plain colour, that's all it needs to be, just quieten everything down. I think the problem with calling things reductive art at the moment is it's a term that's used in this country, mainly with other reductive artists. But a lot of them won't call themselves that. They'll call themselves a minimalist, or, we've all got to find some little box to do the spiel. But it's really just minimalism. And, then there's all sorts of words for it now, and you've got concrete art, and there's so many things. I guess I connect with the word reductive artist because it's part of what I do is reducing the materials and the colour. So I connect with that terminology more personally than what, most people would be writing papers about it. When I found that I really had to discipline myself to really pare back the artwork, and it was a sacrifice. It felt like a sacrifice. It was, I'm not a picture maker. I'm not a storyteller. I'm not those things. It's like I do view my practice as a really, really disciplined. It's the only discipline that I have in my life. So I really cherish the discipline in the studio, because running a business and, as an artist as well, and you're supporting all your art friends. And so you never know, you could be out like 5 nights a week. But when I'm in the studio, I like everything to be very, very structured. And there's a lot of rules in the studio. Like there's no music in the studio whatsoever. There's no chairs in the studio. It's sort of, it's pretty hard. I have fun though. I knew that I'd found the right thing to do, and when I started looking through old sketchbooks and everything, it was like I was on that verge for so long. I just was sort of in the wrong place at the wrong time, where people weren't exploring that work. And so I really had to find out a lot myself, and I'm still learning so much. I guess I really like working to commission because I know the work's going to sit in that space. It's going to I'm going to try and marry it to that space. So whether it's a corner work, a shelf work, whether there's sunlight coming in, which is I love, because the pigments change quite dramatically. When the light shifts a lot, the pigments move even more. So the colour, it can be quite subtle, and then it'll go bang, and then it'll go quiet again, which I guess in a way is that rhythm of nature. When I do a series of work, they have to have a conversation, and a lot of it will be positive, negative conversation, so flip-flop. But they'll all have a little bit of an edge. So just when you think one line's going to be here, it's going to be slightly around the corner. And just when you think it's just going to be a complete square, there'll be like a tiny little detail, something that you won't pick up on. As a lovely friend of mine said once, he said, if you stand in front of your work long enough, it's like you get rewarded. You'll get a conversation there. It's just not in your face.